Good morning, and welcome to the convocation celebrating the 141st anniversary of the founding of Spelman College. I am Linda Hart-Patton. I serve as Director of Alumni Operations in the Office of Alumni Engagement, and I am a proud member of the class of 1988. On April 11th, 141 years ago, our beloved founders, Harriet E. Giles and Sophia B. Packard, brought to fruition their dream, which was to educate freed Black women just out of slavery to become future leaders and to create an institution built on Christian principles. Today, on the 141st anniversary of Spelman College, we continue to recognize their principles as we celebrate Black women of the African diaspora, our sisterly bonds, and diverse faith principles. While Giles and Packard knew they wouldn't meet you, it was you and over 20,000 alumni worldwide that they imagined would sustain Spelman as a beacon of heavenly light for what has now been 141 years. Founders Day brings the college community together for an opportunity to reminisce and renew our commitment, remembering our past, acknowledging the beauty and blessings in the present, and motivating us to remain faithful and steadfast in our pursuits for the future. This is the time when Spelman also honors her daughters, alumni and students, and the commitment of generations of students, faculty, and staff who have entered the gates to learn and to serve. In accordance with our theme this year, Stronger Together, Upholding Our Legacy, we are ecstatic and humbled to take the time today to revive our honored traditions in the first in-person Founders Day ceremony since 2019. Take a few moments, yes. Take a few moments this day to embrace our rich history and traditions while rededicating ourselves to the founding principles of Giles and Packard. Engage in a joyous conversation with someone, a classmate, an alumna, faculty, staff, family, or friend, and share some of your favorite Spelman traditions. Before we continue, I want to make a note of a couple of changes to the program. Dr. Myra Burnett, Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness, will be filling in for Dr. Mary Schmidt-Campbell, 10th President for Spelman College, as she recovers from COVID-19. We wish her a speedy and full recovery. Additionally, Dr. Aditi Pai, Interim Vice Provost for Faculty, will be filling in for Dr. Dolores Bradley Brennan, Interim Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, in her absence. I welcome you to Spelman on this very special occasion. I would like to now invite Dr. Myra Burnett to the podium to bring greetings.
Good morning. On behalf of our president, Dr. Mary Schmidt-Campbell, I welcome our entire
you tell me.
family to this convocation celebrating 141 years since the founding of Spelman College. Although she cannot be with us in person today, President Campbell has prepared remarks that I will now read. Happy Founders Day, Spelman College. I regret that COVID-19 prevents me from joining you in person for my last Founders Day at Spelman. Nonetheless, I am with you in spirit and have asked Dr. Myra Burnett to share my thoughts with the Spelman community on this momentous occasion. This is a historic Founders Day. It is our first live Founders Day in 2 years, and the first that includes every single
Yeah,
class
we just wanted to tell
at
them to come
Spelman
over here to get
College.
mic'd. Thank you.
From the porch of Reynolds Cottage, I watched the seniors file into Sisters Chapel, looking regal in their academic attire. And as I sit on the porch, I can see the first years seated on the oval, and I know that the sophomores are in the amphitheater and juniors in the wellness center. You are all a sea of solidarity, connectedness in your white attire this morning. On this Founders Day, we celebrate our beginnings as a school, and we take a moment to observe an occasion of grace and healing within our community. So, before my remarks begin, let's turn and greet those around us with a warm, happy Founders Day. Thank you. To everyone in our Spelman community, you are some of the bravest people I know. 2 years ago, those of you who were on campus were abruptly uprooted and facing complete uncertainty, weathered one storm after another. A sense of fierce determination and faith have brought you to this moment this morning. Fierce determination founded our school. The founders, 2 teachers, white Baptist missionaries, traveled from Salem, Massachusetts to Atlanta with $100 in their pocket, determined to start a school for Black women at a time when there were none. Fierce determination and faith motivated Father Quarles, who shared the goal of these 2 teachers to provide the basement of Friendship Baptist Church for their first classroom to start the Atlanta Baptist Female Seminary. Determination and tenacity brought the 10 women and 1 girl who walked through the streets of Atlanta to the basement of Friendship Baptist Church on April 11th, 1881, 141 years ago, with aspirations of change. Those 11 founding students simply wanted to learn to read and write, to change themselves and their families. Now, Spelman students come to Spelman College wanting to make a choice to change the world. Seniors, as you well know, the world you are preparing to change is weary and divided. And in making the change that I know you will make in the most extraordinary and spectacular ways, I wish several things for you on this Founders Day. I wish that, in addition to making change in the world, you find ways to foster healing. I wish that you build and innovate. You find space and time for exercise of grace. And I wish that as you seek success, You find it in your hearts, when least expected of you, to offer love. Faculty, it is no accident that teachers founded this school and continue to be core to our academic excellence. If I were here in person, I would ask you to stand so that we can all salute you for your resilience and persistence during these difficult times. So let's pause and do that. Faculty, representative faculty, would you stand, please? As President Campbell states, your work is vital and key to the success of our students. Thank you. Continuing with President Campbell's remarks, staff, you are the backbone, the spine that keeps us sturdy and upright, sun up and sundown, even as the pandemic has swept right up to your doorstep. We are grateful for all that you do to keep the college flourishing. Another pause. Members of the staff, would you please stand? Thank you for all that you do. President Campbell continues, today we honor 2 alumni, both of whom I have had the privilege and honor to know personally. Dr. Bernice King, class of 1985, you are the very meaning of selfless service, and in your role as the president and CEO of the King Center, the institution that honors your father's legendary contributions to the world of human and civil rights, you honor Spelman by accepting from us an honorary degree this morning. Rosa Kilpatrick, class of 1970, former Spelman College alumna trustee. Through your leadership roles at NASA and your civic relationship in Huntsville, you have been one of the best friends a college could have. You are a connector, a mentor, a guide, a Spelman recruiter, donor, and supporter in every way imaginable, and more than worthy recipient of the Founders Spirit Award today. Congratulations, too, on the 2 outstanding winners of the True Blue Award. Alumna and faculty member, Dr. Andrea Lewis, class of 1996. Associate Professor of Education, former chair of the Education Department, and currently director of the college's student success efforts. Congratulations, too, to Daniel Beschely, member of the Spelman College Writing Center team for 26 years and the longtime coach of Spelman's Honda Campus All-Star Challenge team, national champions in 2019. We hear that the team Spelman has made it into the Elite 8 competition this year, and we're rooting for you and the team, Dan. My thanks to the team that made today possible. Linda Patton, Director of Alumni Engagement, Desiree Pettisclo, Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Heather Hawes and her events team, Dr. Burnett, Dr. Pye, and everyone on the STS and FMS teams who worked to restore the ceremonial stateliness of Founders Days past. That concludes Dr. Campbell's remarks, and isn't it wonderful to hear from her even though she can't be here in person? We know she's watching, so would you please join me in wishing to Dr. Campbell that she get well soon and that she have also a happy Founders Day. Seniors, who would have thought that you would spend the majority of your matriculation physically distant from campus and each other? You prevailed and persisted beyond what anyone could have thought possible. And now, as you exit the gates of Spelman, we are confident that you will go into the world as change agents, positively impacting your community in whatever life's work you choose. Just like your class emblem, the eagle, we know that you will soar high to heights supreme and true. Juniors, your Spelman experience started like most classes ahead of you. You settled into campus life, started your studies, built relationships, and began to discover your unique role in the Spelman community. However, after spring break, your classrooms turned into kitchen tables, bedrooms, and living room couches. And like your class emblem, the Sphinx, you continue to progress in dedication to your studies while unselfishly supporting your sisters from afar. Sophomores, your first year experience was completely virtual, yet you persevered as you formed communities of sisterhood with each other and your elder Spelman sisters in Zoom rooms, on social media, and outdoor meetups. Like your class emblem, the owl, you used your wisdom to navigate this unfamiliar space while adjusting to in-person campus life this academic year. First-year students, now that you have begun your Spelman legacy, this path is uniquely yours. Many of you applied to this place, sight unseen, and embarked upon this journey of hybrid experiences, some in person and some virtual. But you did not stand on the sidelines. You involved yourselves in this campus community by excelling academically, taking on leadership roles, and serving the community beyond the gates. As your class emblem, the lamp gives light to darkness. It is your brightness that will help Spelman continue to shine beacons of heavenly light. We know how challenging this pandemic has been for all of us, yet you remained undaunted while continuing to do what Spelman women do, remaining goal-oriented, civic-minded, and committed to excellence. Spelman students, I wish you the same faith that brought Packard and Giles to Atlanta, the faith that drove Father Quarles to open his heart and his church, the faith that brought the first students 141 years ago to that basement school, the faith that this place would become the principal center for the education of Black women leaders. I wish for you an eternal flame that lights your way always and forever forward. Happy Founders Day. I am both honored and privileged to recognize now members of the platform party seated in the center section of the chapel. The Reverend Dr. Nichelle R. Guidry, Dean of Sisters Chapel. Thank you. Dr. Aditi Pai, Interim Provost for Faculty. Reverend Bernice A. King, class of 1985, honorary degree recipient. Dr. Karen Brackey, faculty trustee. Elizabeth Gowans, class of 2023, student trustee. Kiva Wright Berry, class of 1979, president, National Alumni Association of Spelman College. Rosa King Kilpatrick, class of 1970, Founders Spirit recipient. Linda Hart Patton, class of 1988, Director of Alumni Operations. And Cynthia R. Jackson, class of 1981, Spelman College Board of Trustees. Seated at the organ is our very own jewel in the crown, Dr. Joyce Finch Johnson, Spelman College organist. Well deserved. Directing our magnificent Glee Club is Dr. Kevin Johnson, Director of Spelman College Glee Club. We will see him shortly. Our processional was led by our head marshal, Dr. Angela Ferris Watkins, class of 1986. Platform marshals are Cynthia Neal Spence, class of 1975. And faculty marshal, Dr. Sandra Sims Patterson, class of 1970. Our student marshals are Elisa Cabezas, class of 2022, senior class president. And Lauren Sanders, class of 2022, senior class vice president. Seated in the audience is Jillian Jackson, class of 2023, Spelman Student Government Association president. We are grateful for the presence of the family members and friends of our honorees. Would you please stand for us to recognize you? And of course, we extend a special Spelman welcome to the class of 2022, assembled in the chapel, wearing your academic regalia for the first time. Would you join me in lovingly applauding our graduates? As mentioned before, there were 11 students present on April 11th, 1881, when Spelman was founded. Of the 11, 10 were women ranging in age from 25 to 52. Clearly, age was no deterrent to receiving an education then, nor is it today. At Spelman College, we celebrate those students who arrived at Spelman after beginning their professional careers or serving their families, communities, or countries. They are the Pauline E. Drake Scholars, or affectionately known as PEDs. Are there PEDs here with us today? Members of the junior class assembled in the Wellness Center representing the class of 2023, as well as members of the sophomore class of 2024 assembled at the Beverly Daniel Tate's Suites Amphitheater, and the first-year students representing the class of 2025 assembled on the campus oval. We welcome all of you to your first in-person Founders Day. There are family members, friends of the college, and many around the world sharing in this program through live broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Viewing with us today are alumni celebrating their Golden Girl reunion this year, the class of 1972, who graduated 50 years ago. Congratulations to each of you. We also honor our Diamond Daughters, who have graduated 51 or more years ago. Warm congratulations to you as well. We recognize now all alumni viewing worldwide. Thank you for staying connected to Spelman. Among the senior class are women who, instead of a black tassel on their cap, are wearing a commemorative Spelman blue tassel. These seniors participated in the Senior Legacy Gift Program, where members of the senior class have an opportunity through their gifts to Spelman to support students who will follow in their footsteps. We want to thank each of you for your investment in Spelman College. We are pleased to announce that collectively 249 or 50.8% of you have given over $5,527 to the President's Safety Net Fund, which provides financial support primarily for seniors in jeopardy of not graduating due to need. Thank you. During this season of ceremonies at Spelman, alumni giving is one of the tangible ways in which alumni continuously raise Spelman's standards and honor. I want to thank you for your annual gifts made at homecoming, Founders Day, reunion, and throughout the fiscal year. Our Founders Day 2022 Giving Challenge is to garner 1,881 donations by the evening of April 11th at 11:59 p.m. If you haven't made your Founders Day gift, please consider making a donation today to celebrate Spelman's 141st birthday. Currently, 17% of Spelman alumni, 3,510 of you, have given back to their alma mater this year. Please share the word with those alumni who have not made their gifts this fiscal year that we need their help, and please make a gift by June 30th. And last, but certainly not least, with us today are members of the college's senior leadership team. These hardworking and dedicated colleagues work tirelessly to keep Spelman in the top tier of national liberal arts colleges. Will the members of senior team present please stand? Thank you. The Founders Day Convocation, commemorating the 141st anniversary of the founding of Spelman College, will proceed now as indicated in your program.
will soon be over.
it to be a day of remembering, giving thanks, and listening to the ancestors. They knew we would gather at this time and in this place to bear witness
To the mighty workings of the God in whom they believed and to whom they prayed.
When they were stolen from their birthplace and carried the iron weight of terror through villages and marshlands,
through the bush that did not burn, that did not hide them.
one by one, women, men, children were imprisoned in the waiting ship.
When they rowed the water.
Like cargo, they rode the waters. And the waters moaned, and the ancestors cried out.
There was no light, no air, no Africa.
When they stood naked, one by one, together.
Together. Women and men and children.
Transfixed by the gathering of strange people.
Wearing bleached faces.
Dressed for worship and bidding for wares.
Go down, Moses.
6 head of foxhounds, 2 milk cows,
down
1 gray mare and colt,
in Egypt land.
1 pair of oxen, 2 spinning wheels, 2 ox carts,
Pharaoh
10 gallons of maple syrup, 1 32-gallon of Johnson Miller whiskey,
Go.
6 Negro slaves.
And when they labored under a scorching sun and barren soil, they made fertile.
Hold on.
And in houses of polished floors,
Just a little
And spiraling stairs,
they built.
and they cleaned.
Hold on. When they were brutalized
By the
a little
unspeakable horror
while
of slavery.
longer, and every little thing is gonna be alright. They did not cease to hope, to dream, to plan. They prayed to a miracle-working God,
right on time, God.
a loving God of deliverance, who would answer their fervent prayer.
I want my children to
I
be
want
educated.
my children
I
to
want
be
my
educated.
children to be
I
educated.
want my children to be educated.
This prayer answered is the testimony we lift up today.
When people ask how Spelman College, decade after decade, produces women leaders,
Scholars, artists,
change agents,
and revolutionaries.
we journey to 1881, 18 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
In that year, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles heard the ancestors' prayer lifted up to the
And
heavens.
in a melodious duet that to this day, to this very day, reaches high notes in the Spelman hymn, they said,
Send me,
Send me.
send me.
Send me.
Children, go where I send thee. How shall I send thee?
send me.
I'm gonna send thee 2 by 2.
And so it was that Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles traveled from the east, where they knew comfort, to the south, where they saw need.
And when they arrived, they saw the miracle that would become Spelman College.
For as it had been prophesied,
11 women and girls are walking from their dwelling places to the basement of Friendship Baptist Church.
Can't you see them? I see them.
all Spelman students see them.
All alumni see them.
All faculty see them.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone who works and serves at Spelman sees them.
President Campbell sees them. They are adorned in garments women can, stitched with sturdy and loving hands.
Can't you hear them?
I hear them.
They are praying and singing and rejoicing. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. Get on board. Get on. Get on
women and girls were the first students of the Atlanta Baptist Female Seminary.
3 years later, in 1844, in honor of Mrs. John D. Rockefeller, this seminary became the Atlanta Baptist Seminary for women and girls.
4 decades later, in 1924, this seminary was named Spelman College.
And in this year, 2022, Spelman College opened the gate wide to 2,245 students. We give thanks today for our founders
And our 11 forebearers and 10 extraordinary presidents of Spelman College.
Sophia B. Packard,
Harriet E. Giles, Lucy Hale Tapley,
Florence Matilda Reed,
Albert E. Manley,
Donald M. Stewart, Janetta Betts Cole,
Audrey Forbes Manley,
Beverly Daniel Tatum,
and
Mary Smith Campbell, the 10th president of Spelman College.
the ancestors knew.
They knew that Dr. Mary Smith Campbell, with brilliance and love and daring, would keep the Spelman Gate opened wide.
Even during a pandemic.
And the world would know where we are
who we are.
and why we praise thy name, Spelman.
In this, the 141st Founders Day at Spelman College,
We bid farewell to Dr. Mary Schmidt Campbell, who is retiring as the 10th president of Spelman College.
We will miss her, and we will pray for her.
and we will remember her always.
Always,
Always.
and always with love.
As she soars, unafraid and with grace, on the highest slopes, President Mary Schmidt Campbell will hear us singing. I'll be your shelter. I'll be your land. I'll be your everything. I'll be your friend. I'll be your water.
When you're thirsty and dry.
And in 2016, we heard her singing. There were these hands, hundreds reaching for me. They knew exactly who and what I should be. Each way I turned, only stronger than the last. It's what I choose and how I could pass.
On every Founders Day, we will hear President Campbell joining us in this, our testimony.
I want my children to
I
be
want my
educated.
children
I
to be
want my
educated.
children to be
I
educated.
want my children to be educated.
I want my children to be
I want my
educated.
children to be educated.
I want my children to
I
be educated.
want my children to be educated.
Would representatives of the Granddaughters Club come forward and lift up the ceremonial wreaths representing the founders of Spelman College, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles.
have another round of applause for the magnificent Spelman College Glee Club? Thank you. It is now time for the presentation of honors. The True Blue Award gives recognition to a member of the college community who has exhibited the true blue spirit through dedicated service and commitment to the mission of Spelman College. This year, our first recipient is Daniel Beschely. Let us watch the video introduction.
Daniel Beschely has been with Spelman College and the Comprehensive Writing Program for 26 years. He taught media arts at Alumni College in Nepean, Ontario, at the beginning of the digital media revolution and has since been exploring the use of new media to enhance written communications, narrative formation, and the visual arts. After arriving at Spelman College as the interim assistant director for the Comprehensive Writing Program, Dan took on the role as the coordinator for the Mellon Faculty Development Grant with Dr. Mary Hawks to encourage Spelman faculty to learn and employ digital media in their curriculum for the benefit of their students. During this 6-year grant, Dan worked with faculty from every department and mentored a cadre of student media assistants, many of whom went on into careers in commercial media or associated callings themselves. Dr. Ann Warner, longtime English professor and director of the Comprehensive Writing Program, upon seeing the talents of the media assistants, encouraged the formalization of the new media curriculum that was given to these select students. Thus, the mentoring of the student media assistants morphed into a one-semester course in new media that Dan designed and has taught through the English department for more than 10 years. With Dr. Warner and Dr. Rick Langhorst, Dan brought course and learning management systems, the digital student portfolio, and streaming media services to Spelman classrooms using servers he built and configured in his office on the 3rd floor of the Camille Olivia Hanks Cosby building. The early work in new media provided a foundation of growing confidence in this medium and trust that more elaborate and ambitious projects could flourish. Dan began a collaboration with Spelman colleague Dr. Arturo Lindsay in 2001, creating an international virtual museum for artists and writers to respond to the 9/11 tragedy, the first site to do so. The collaborations with artists and academics expanded to include many colleagues and other performances, video, and book projects. Dan has continued these productive collaborations and is currently working in post-production as video editor on the documentary film Arte Tango, which covers the impact that Spelman Summer Art Colony in Portobello, Panama has had in sprawling the Congo art movement. This documentary is another collaboration with Arturo Lindsay and includes other notable filmmakers and authors. With each of these outstanding and impactful collaborations, Dan's focus at Spelman College is always on the students and attempting to ensure that they have the richest educational and student life experience possible. His work in the Writing Center supports faculty development and curricular enhancement projects such as Writing Across the Curriculum, as well as the amazingly talented Spelman College Peer Tutor Program. This is in addition to continuing the Media Assistant Program, where tech-savvy Spelman students are employed to assist faculty and students in their media needs. He has advised registered student organizations such as Echelon 12 Art and Fashion Club and Beyond the Body. He is most well known for being the long-term coach of the Spelman College Honda Campus All-Star Challenge Team. Working in tandem with Spanish professor Estelle Finley, Spelman's HCASC team has gone from strength to strength with a 5-year playoff run from 2015 to 2019, culminating in second place in 2018 and the national championship in 2019. This year, The Spelman team is already deep into the Elite 8 stage of the championship playoffs and is competing in April 2022 with another strong, quick-witted, and imperturbable team of super bright, motivated Spelman women.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Thank you, Spelman College, for this honor you've awarded to me. My time at Spelman College has been filled with rewarding experiences and the friendship of outstanding people, from amazingly talented students and alumni to dedicated staff, inspiring faculty, and a far-seeing administration that has consistently kept Spelman College at the top of the rankings for liberal arts colleges and first among HBCUs. I've been at Spelman College for a long time, and I could not have wanted any better home or a more caring family. From the moment I arrived here, having landed in the comprehensive writing program, I felt the strength of the bonds that Spelman College instills and the commitment to excellence and growth that has nurtured and propelled Spelmanites forward through their careers and into greatness. My role here has always been one of support staff, whether it be faculty development and pedagogy or technology training, the writing portfolio, innovative academic projects, working with other staff to bring the most advanced classroom support structures to fruition, and ensuring functionality, to working closely with our brilliant student peer tutors and media assistants in the Writing Center, to teaching students in classes as part of a team or in my own class, and in student clubs and teams. I see the 2018 recipient of the True Blue Award, Fury Reed, as a role model for myself, always ready, always eager, and always there for the Spelman community. Thank you, Spelman College, for inviting me to share in this adventure and become part of this family. The experiences I've had, the friends I've made, the room to grow that you've provided was all the reward that I could ever have expected. The experiences I've had, the friends I've made, the room to grow that you've provided me was all that I ever could have dreamed of having. Spelman True Blue is a life's calling, and I'm at once both proud and humbled that you've awarded the title True Blue to me. As everybody here today knows, Spelman is special, and Spelman, thy name we praise. Thank you all.
Dan Beschely, would you please come forward? Dan, thank you for your passion, dedication, commitment, and loyalty to ensure that for over 26 years, the college's support for our students was met with dedication and care. You have played an integral part in the lives of our students through your work in the Writing Center. Additionally, your unwavering love for Spelman has helped our Quiz Bowl scholars become champions on the national stage. Therefore, it is my pleasure to present you with the 2022 True Blue Award. Congratulations, Dan. This year, our nominee pool was so outstanding that we could not select just one True Blue awardee. I am honored to recognize Dr. Andrea Lewis, class of 1996, Let's watch the video introduction.
Andrea Lewis, PhD, is director of the Student Success Program and associate professor of education at Spelman College. Dr. Lewis works in her career to ensure students receive equitable resources and quality education. Her professional experiences include elementary school teacher, public and private school administrator, and college faculty and staff. In addition to her work in student success at Spelman College, Dr. Lewis chairs the College Completion Action Team and co-chairs the Campus Assessment Response and Evaluation Team. Dr. Lewis serves as campus advisor for the Mu Pi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Gifted Girls of Grace, and the Spelman College Debate Team. Through her previous efforts as chair of the Education Department, Dr. Lewis was committed to preparing teachers through experiential learning. She led study trips to Cuba and New Orleans and developed partnerships for teacher candidates with local and national preschool through 12th grade and collegiate institutions. She also serves as chair and site reviewer for the Georgia Professional Standards Commission. Dr. Lewis is the author of 3 books: Valerie's New Friends, Unsung Legacies of Educators and Events in African American Education, co-authored, and Pre-Service Teachers, Social Class and Race in Urban Schools, Experiences and Strategies for Teacher Preparation, a 4th book, She Who Believed, Redefining Life Through God's Grace, is scheduled for publication in September 2022. A summa cum laude graduate of Spelman College, Dr. Lewis earned a Master of Science in Education from the University of Pennsylvania and a Doctor of Philosophy from Georgia State University. She completed a certificate in theology and ministry from Princeton Theological Seminary and will graduate with a Master of Divinity from Turner Theological Seminary at the Interdenominational Theological Center in May 2022. Dr. Lewis is ordained and an associate minister at Big Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Atlanta. She is also founder of Virtuous Pearl Interdenominational Women's Ministry, which studies God's Word through the experiences of women. Dr. Lewis has received awards of distinction for exemplary community service and excellence in education from organizations including Atlanta Public Schools, National Alumni Association of Spelman College, the National Organization and Atlanta Chapter, Southeast Region of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Metropolitan Atlanta Chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, United Negro College Fund, Turner Broadcasting, and Outstanding Atlanta. Dr. Lewis is a member of the YMCA of Metro Atlanta Board of Directors and has held leadership positions in local chapters of Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, the Links Incorporated, National Alumni Association of Spelman College, and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Her proudest accomplishment is being a mother to 2 amazing sons, Christian and Alexander.
Good morning, my Spelman sisters, and to the Spelman College community. Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell and others on the committee, for bestowing this wonderful True Blue Award to me. I am honored and humbled at this occasion. I give so much to Spelman because Spelman gave so much to me. As a young girl growing up in a predominantly white community in New Jersey, I longed to attend an HBCU where the professors and my peers would look like me and understood me. And when I arrived through those great gates of Spelman way back when, I would like to thank all of those professors who made sure that I was always at the top of my game in doing what I was supposed to do, especially Dr. Christine King Ferris and Dr. Gwendolyn Middlebrooks. They made me the phenomenal educator that I am today. And I again give so much to Spelman because I enjoy working with young students, pouring into them and allowing them to have what they need in their choice to change the world in their respective disciplines. Again, I thank you for this award, and I wish continued blessings on the entire Spelman College community. With gratitude, I thank you.
Dr. Andrea Lewis, would you please come forward? Dr. Lewis, thank you for your passion, dedication, commitment, and loyalty to ensure that for over 12 years, the college's education department has produced world-changing students, world-changing educators who are experts in their disciplines, founding schools, and providing the educational excellence that our communities deserve. Additionally, you are lending your expertise to ensure that all scholars have a successful matriculation through your leadership in the Student Success Program. Therefore, it is my pleasure to present to you the 2022 True Blue Award. Congratulations, Dr. Lewis. The Founders Spirit Award is given to an alumna who graduated from the college 50 or more years ago and has made significant and lasting contributions to the college and her community that reflect the spirit and tenacity of the founders. This year, the Founders Spirit Award is being presented to Rosa King Kilpatrick, class of 1970. Let's watch the video introduction.
Rosa King Kilpatrick is a native of Atlanta, Georgia, where as a child, the tenets of service to others were demonstrated in her home environment. She is a 1970 cum laude graduate of Spelman College with a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology and History. Serving in progressive leadership roles at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, known as NASA, she, in her last assignment prior to retiring, was a senior community relations specialist, an inaugural position, allowing her to become the first African American to be selected for the position. At NASA, she was the recipient of numerous awards, including Sustained Superior Performance Awards. She was the recipient of the NASA-manned Space Flight Awareness Honorary Program Award for significant contributions to the space program. She served as an advisor to the leadership of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center for selection of applicants for WISE, the Women in Science and Engineering program, a program where NASA paid all expenses for students attending Spelman. During the last year of the tenure of President Audrey Manley, Ms. Kilpatrick served the college as a loaned executive from NASA at Spelman, leading the college's community initiatives. During this time, she had a chance to see firsthand that many students entering Spelman were not fully prepared to take on the full financial requirements. As a result, she launched special initiatives for the Student Emergency Fund. The initiatives during her tenure delivered $70,000 from the executive level of National Association of Spelman College and $94,000 from the chapter level. Prior to working at NASA, she served as a senior civil rights specialist at the U.S. Department of Education. As a young employee, she was awarded a fellowship to attend Clark Atlanta University to secure a Master of Arts degree in special education. She was selected to lead the regional office in understanding the disparities and the significant imbalance of African American students in special education classes at the height of school desegregation in the South. Ms. Kilpatrick later graduated from the Carroll School of Management Community Relations program at Boston College in Massachusetts. There is no limit to Ms. Kilpatrick's dedication. She continued to serve her alma mater after graduation through serving on special committees for the college. A former Spelman College alumna trustee, she enthusiastically served on numerous boards, including Board Affairs and Student Affairs. In 2008, she was the recipient of the Alumni Achievement Award for Civic Service from Spelman College. A charter member and first president of the Huntsville area chapter of the National Alumni Association of Spelman College, Ms. Kilpatrick is a life member of the National Alumni Association of Spelman College and has continued to serve in progressive leadership positions. In 2015, while serving as president of the Huntsville chapter, her fundraising savvy allowed her to raise over $40,000 in chapter scholarship funds for a deserving incoming Spelman student. In 2016, in recognition for her tireless efforts in raising scholarship funds for Spelman students, she was presented with the highest honor of the NAASC Hall of Fame Award. She was also inducted into the 2017 United Negro College Fund Hall of Honor, representing Spelman. In her community, she has also given her time and talents as a charter member of the Huntsville and Madison chapters of Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, the first African American female president of the Girl Scouts of North Alabama, and a founding and charter member of the National Council of Negro Women Huntsville chapter. She is a past contributor as a diversity consultant for USA Today newspaper and has served as the public relations POC for the Huntsville chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority and as a Golden Life member of the organization. With such outstanding work in the community, she is the recipient of many awards and appointments and has contributed in countless ways on numerous boards and in leadership roles for her church. While she describes her passions as student recruitment and assisting in numerous ways to navigate students to Spelman, as indicated, she is most proud to be happily married to the love of her life, John, and serve as proud parents of Joy Kilpatrick, Spelman College, class of 2004.
The Board of Trustees of Spelman College, to the Office of Alumni Engagement, and to all who helped shepherd this award to me, I am profoundly thankful. I would be remiss if I did not invoke the name of my dear mother, who taught me as a child to always help someone along the way. She believed that if you received a blessing, you had a duty to share it with others. Mom, I hope I made you proud and lived up to your expectations. I also praise God for sending my way two special angels, Marie and Cynthia. You made sure that I did not attend another institution, but that my journey would be at Spelman. And I'm so very thankful for you, and I miss you both dearly each day. To my family for underpinning me during this amazing odyssey, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To my husband for your love and encouragement. And it takes a strong man to champion a woman on a journey so that she can be her own person and do all that is necessary to achieve. And to my precious daughter, Joy, you make me proud every day with your accomplishments, but especially I am proud to call you my Spelman sister, because you graduated in the class of 2004. To the class of 2025, you made it, and you should be so proud. I'm very proud of you. Spelman is proud of you. So don't ever forget Spelman. She'll never forget you. And always remember to help our younger sisters shine a light so that they too can attend Spelman College. To the class of 2025, Your journey is just beginning. Enjoy your voyage. Thank you for this amazing honor. I am humbled by receiving it, and I plan to continue to do all I can for the beloved Spelman College. Again, thank you.
Rosa King Kilpatrick, class of 1970, please come forward. Rosa King Kilpatrick, class of 1970. Thank you for showing Spelman alumni what it truly means to serve your alma mater. As an alumna and mother of an alumna, Joy Kilpatrick, class of 2004, you have paired experience and initiative to positively influence youth who desire to attend Spelman College. You have done incredible and tireless work with the college and the National Alumni Association of Spelman College as a former Spelman Board of Trustees member, national president of the NAASC, and charter member of the Huntsville, Alabama chapter, to secure transformational gifts to Spelman that actualize the dream of attendance for many future Spelman women. In the spirit of our founders, your commitment to Spelman and the passion with which you have conveyed her goodness has had an incredible impact that will continue to influence for generations. Therefore, it is my distinct honor to present to you the Founders Spirit Award for 2022. Congratulations. Now it is time for the presentation of the honorary degree. At this convocation celebrating the 141st anniversary of our founding, Spelman College is bestowing its highest honor, the honorary degree, upon Reverend Bernice A. King, class of 1985. Let's watch the video introduction.
Dr. Bernice A. King is a global thought leader, strategist, solutionist, orator, peace advocate, and CEO of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change, known to many as the King Center, which was founded by her mother as the official living memorial to the life, work, and legacy of her father. As CEO, Bernice continues to advance her parents' legacy of nonviolent social change through policy, advocacy, research, as well as education and training through the Kingian philosophy of nonviolence, which she rebranded Nonviolence 365. Through her work at the King Center, she educates youth and adults around the world about the nonviolent principles and strategies modeled by her parents. Under her leadership, the center has implemented numerous initiatives reaching over 500,000 people around the world, including the beloved Community Leadership Academy, Students with King, NV365 Education and Training, and the Beloved Community Talks, a courageous conversations platform about the difficult racial and social justice issues impacting our world. Dr. King led the development of an NV365 certification program for trainers, which provides individuals with the opportunity to teach NV365 curriculum on behalf of the King Center. She is an instructor and trainer for the program. Dr. King holds a Doctor of Law degree from Emory University, a Master of Divinity degree from Candler School of Theology at Emory University, and a bachelor's degree in psychology from Spelman College. She also received Honorary Doctor of Divinity degrees from Wesley College and Clinton College. From 1990 to 1992, she served as a law clerk for Judge Glenda Hatchett, the Chief Judge of the Fulton County Juvenile Detention Court. She served for 7 years as an assistant pastor of Greater Rising Star Baptist Church in Atlanta, where she organized and developed several new ministries. In 2007, she established the B.A. King Scholarship in honor of her mother at Spelman College. In 2013, Dr. King spearheaded the Let Freedom Ring event, commemorating the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, and her father's I Have a Dream speech. The global event included President Barack Obama, President Bill Clinton, and President Jimmy Carter, members of Congress, as well as many other international leaders, dignitaries, and entertainers. In March 2018, Dr. King was fortunate to have a private audience with His Holiness Pope Francis. As an alumna of Leadership Atlanta, the 2020 class, she effectively utilized her influence to encourage Atlanta business leaders to become more active in support of major racial equity and social justice issues, including the successful passage of Georgia's hate crime legislation. Dr. King has received numerous awards and recognitions. Most recently, she received the Atlanta Business Chronicle Lifetime Achievement Award for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Additionally, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation honored her in 2020 with their highest award, the Phoenix Award, which recognizes individuals who have made significant contributions to society. As a noted author, she has to her credit Hard Questions, Heart Answers, as well as a children's book entitled It Starts With Me, which is part of the King Center's Be Love movement. A licensed attorney and member of the State Bar of Georgia, Dr. King is also a certified mediator with the state of Georgia, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the International Women's Forum, the National Council of Negro Women, a board member of the National Black Bank Foundation, and Faith and Prejudice. Dr. King is an innovative, inspirational, and transformational leader. She is dedicated to ensuring that her parents' legacy and teachings, the King Center, as well as the work of creating the beloved community with Nonviolence 365 as a pathway, are introduced to new generations of influencers.
Dr. Adichie Pai, Interim Provost for Faculty, will bring the honorary degree candidate forward.
Dr. Burnett,
Dr. Pai.
upon the recommendation of the faculty and the vote of the Board of Trustees of Spelman College, I present to you Bernice King as candidate for the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
Bernice A. King, your distinguished career in social justice and advocacy is a model of excellence. As we continue to fight for equality, permanent voting rights, and continue to uphold the legacy of nonviolence, as championed by your father, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we look to your path to help our future social justice activists build their own. For your devotion to your alma mater as an advocate, mentor, volunteer, and donor, and for raising standards and honor in the field of social justice, on the occasion of the 141st Founders Day Convocation, Spelman College bestows upon you its highest honor. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Spelman College, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the honors, rights, and privileges appertaining thereto.
First, I need to say, phew, wow. Let me start with an expression of deep gratitude for this honor on today. And I'm humbled to join with my mother, who received an honorary doctorate from Spelman the year before I graduated in 1984. To the Spelman Board of Trustees under the leadership of Chair Rosalind Brewer, President Campbell, administrators, faculty, staff, all of the other honorees, congratulations. Those who have joined us virtually, including all of my Spelman sisters, alumni, and last, but not certainly least, to the undaunted, unrelenting, and unconquered members of the 2022 graduating class. Yeah. Y'all got a little fight in you and resilience to go through what you've gone through. Happy Founders Day to all of my Spelman sisters and family. We are the beneficiaries of a magnificent legacy which has impacted the world in unprecedented ways. I began my undergraduate studies at a small liberal arts college in the Midwest, in Iowa. Very cold place. Not many people that look like us there. A school called Grinnell College. But I quickly came to my senses. The second semester of my freshman year, and I joined the class of '85 as a Thank You Lordy graduate and became a Spelmanite. I am a fourth generation alumna of Spelman College. I thank God. I thank God for the presence of two of my family members who are also graduates of Spelman College, one in the same generation as I am, Dr. Angela Ferris Watkins, and my other cousin, her daughter, Miss, I'm not putting you married yet, on your way though, Miss Ferris Watkins, the 5th generation. And of course, I love Spelman so much so that you heard it. I came back in 2007, a year after my mother's passing, and established the Be a King Scholarship in her honor. And so it is great to be here on today and to see everyone in person after being sequestered and in some ways siloed and shut in the last couple of years. Now, when I matriculated as a freshman at Spelman 40 years ago, little did I know that I would be standing in this place to be the recipient of my alma mater's Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters. I'm deeply honored and humbled by this moment. It is especially meaningful at this point in my life because the core of my mission and work in life is about the creation of the beloved community, which focuses on the humane regard and just treatment of all people regardless of racial or ethnic background, religion, culture, ideology, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, or party affiliation. I receive this honor as a profound recognition that my heartfelt and sincere passion to promote and practice nonviolence as a way of life is still noteworthy, even at a time when violence has become a cultural norm and humankind is tempted and lured daily by violence as a valid form of human expression to violence, conflict, injustice, and oppression. And so thank you, Spelman, for providing further fuel for my mission in life. To the graduating class of 2022, timing is everything in life. I can tell you that I'm obviously not the person I was 40 years ago in terms of my level of compassionate understanding and benevolence toward all people. Even as the daughter of two of the greatest humanitarians and nonviolent leaders, my heart was bleeding with anger and even rage toward those that I saw as the enemy of the liberation of my people. I also often struggled with acknowledging the dignity and respecting the value of those who did not believe as I believed and thought as I thought. But that would not be too surprising necessarily for an 18-year-old or even a 25-year-old. The journey, though, to get to where I am today was filled with mistakes, missteps, misjudgments, mishandling, and misunderstandings related to people. And though I'm far from being perfect or free from any of those misses, I can honestly say that as a result of my journey as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and also taking the helm of leadership at the King Center 10 years ago, I have matured to understand and appreciate the nuances of our world, as well as the complexities and frailties of humankind. This has given me the capacity to listen to opposing perspectives with an open mind toward win-win outcomes. Also, because of my love for all humankind and a commitment to create a just, humane, equitable, and peaceful world, I've been able to resist the temptation to allow my anger at injustice to turn to bitterness, rage, retaliation, or revenge. My Spelman sisters, our world is in desperate need of those who embrace and understand this way of nonviolence and utilize it toward collective impact. Too many people believe that violence is the only way to get attention or to redress violence or conflict and injustice, and have resigned themselves to utilizing it in their verbal exchanges, in their physical encounters, and in their decision making. Still others embrace violence as a means to create and keep power and control. This resignation is often tied to a sense of helplessness and hopelessness, and alternatively, this means of exercising power and control is often tied to a fear of losing control. In either case, the soul of our nation and the nations of the world are being jeopardized. It was my mother, Coretta Scott King, who said, "Women, if the soul of the nation is to be saved, I believe that you must become its soul." And although she said that 54 years ago, it still rings true today. As women who come from a legacy of quote-unquote soul savers, I challenge each of you, my Spelman sisters, to commit yourself to becoming a soul saver. Look at your sister and say, "I'm a soul saver." Now, a soul saver is one who sees the world through the lens of hope and acts in concert with others to bring to pass that which is hoped for or longed for, which is ultimately a just, humane, and peaceful world. As a soul saver, you recognize that no matter how challenging the social, political, and economic issues we are faced with in our nation and world, your mind affirms with my father, Martin Luther King Jr., that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And therefore, you remain focused on the outcome so you don't succumb to allowing violent and destructive impulses to overtake you. Instead, you yield to temperance by allowing wise constraint and self-control to be your guide. This is the mindset that our nation and world need today to save its soul and steer it from the trajectory of further chaos and confusion. As Dr. Campbell's words said earlier, we need healing in this world. We need love in this world. And that's what a soul saver brings. One of the fundamental things that can help a person cling to this type of hope, and I want you to hear this, is one of the most important words in the Holy Bible and in our English lexicon. That word is remember. For you see, if we would just activate our remembrance and recall what God has done throughout history, time, and generations to help our ancestors and humankind face and overcome challenging situations and circumstances, we can be that soul saver and help our nation and our world overcome where we are today. And finally, to be a soul saver, you understand that we must work in a concerted, collective, collaborative, and coordinated fashion to bring past a just, a humane, and peaceful world where true peace reigns. For as my father said, true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Your generation often reminds us, no justice, no peace. Say that. But let me put you on game with this. That proclamation remains just a proclamation without a well-orchestrated outreach and organized nonviolent strategy among those who are committed to be soul savers. A just, humane, equitable, and peaceful outcome will remain elusive, and the soul of our nation will continue to hang in the balance. I remind you that my mother said, women, not woman, or even a particular kind of woman. If the soul of the nation is to be saved, you must become its soul. Say that again, I'm a soul saver. We have witnessed time and again, when we do it together, we are definitely stronger. As the African Proverbs reminds us, if you want to go fast, go ahead and go alone. But if you want to go far, let's go together. Our legacy of 141 years of educating black women at Spelman College and our history as blacks in the United States of America validate this claim of going far together. For you see, it was Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles working together with a group of allies and advocates, creating a legacy of educating black women that 141 years later is Spelman strong. It was Joanne Robinson, the Women's Political Council, Rosa Parks and Edie Nixon and Fred Gray, Martin and Coretta, Ralph and Juanita, and the black citizens of Montgomery, Alabama, working together to create a movement that ultimately transformed a Southern system of segregation into a greater pathway of shared opportunity. It took voting rights advocates and activists, including our Spelman sister, Stacey Abrams, working together to send Georgia's first black and first Jewish person simultaneously to the United States Senate. And recently, because of many of us joined together in different efforts, today we are on the precipice of witnessing Judge Ketanji Jackson become the first black woman sworn in as Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Women are supreme. And so, my sisters, nothing great is done in a silo. We are stronger together. When great minds and hearts work together, we can transform the dangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of sisterhood and even brotherhood. My Spelman sisters, as we move forward, no matter how difficult the hour or dark the moment we may face, let us be soul savers and always move together in a syncopated manner in step with God Himself, knowing that He will give us the strength to overcome and bring to pass just and humane outcomes. That has been and always must be our legacy. And so, in closing, I say to you as a soul saver, I encourage you to walk together, sisters. Don't you get weary. Work together and hold on to each other together, sisters. Don't you get weary. Mobilize, organize, and strategize together, sisters. Don't you get weary. Fuss, fight, but get over it together, sisters. And don't you get weary. And don't forget to pray together, sisters, so you don't get weary, so that we can make of this old world of chaos and confusion into a new world where the beloved community is not a mere phrase that we speak, but a reality that we seek for all of us as children of the Most High God. And let the church say, amen.
Thank you, my sister in two ways, Dr. Bernice King, for those passionate and inspirational words. My fellow Spelmanites, these past few years have been challenging as we have not been able to experience many of our traditions. Today, we are all gathered, adorned in our traditional white attire. I would be honored to lead us in a rededication pledge, similar to the pledge we took at the beginning of our matriculation, to remind us of the commitment we made to ourselves upon entering Spelman. Please stand and join me in this recitation. Repeat after me. As a Spelman College woman on this 141st Founders Day, I pledge to continue to be inventive in my thinking, I will continue to commit myself to being imaginative in and out of the classroom, including in my destination beyond these gates. I dedicate myself to the ascension of our great institution. I honor Spelman College as a community that nurtures spirit, scholarship, and service. Scholarship and service. I show genuine civility and demonstrate tolerance and respect for other cultures. I will uphold and model the history and traditions that Spelman College created to become the #1 HBCU. For 15 consecutive years. Honor is defined as honesty, fairness, and integrity. In one's beliefs and actions. I will practice honesty, fairness, and integrity as a way of life. On this day, as we observe the founding of our institution, I pledge to exhibit the charge on the historical marker at the main gate to be a woman who serves in my community and around the globe. I will make a choice to change the world. Happy Founders Day.
institution. We are women of change, the shoulders that we stand upon. Never received applause or praise. So in their honor I will live each day better than before, to show the world how it takes a choice to change yourself and so much more. It's my choice. It's my choice to change the world. And I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream out loud and say, it's my choice, and I choose to change the world. The change begins today with every choice that we make. Seniors, look around and see where the changes need to be. That's in poverty, fighting overseas. Another dies from a disease. And hypocrisy, starving on the streets, and no one does a single thing. It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage. I'll be the change I want to see. I'll scream out loud and say, it's my choice. 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 Make a choice. Make a choice. Make a choice. What's your choice? What's your choice? What's your choice? It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. Change the
Thank you, Spelman College Glee Club. Let's give them one more hand. What an inspiring morning this has been. As we prepare to depart from this place, I want to thank the many individuals and committees who made today such a special day at Spelman College. From the processional to the final note sung by the Glee Club, this Founders Day Convocation has brought us together as a community to remember why Spelman was founded 141 years ago, why it is today a nationally celebrated institution for Black women, and why, since 1881, Spelman has empowered leaders who serve their communities, the nation, and the world. The achievement of her alumni and promise of achievement and service for the graduates of the class of 2022 ensure that Spelman College is poised in this century to be the institution from which our nation, indeed the world, will expect leadership and service far into the 21st century and beyond. Seeing our graduates in their academic regalia is always a special moment in the Academy, and seeing members of the class of 2022 wearing blue and black tassels and looking so dignified and proud was, for me, the most special moment. They are the reason we are here, and their achievements, your achievements, will be the reason other students will choose Spelman, and through serious study, why they will leave Spelman prepared to change the world. To continue our celebration, please join us on the Oval a little after 12 noon, because we're almost at 12 noon now, for the cutting of the ceremonial birthday cake. Now let us stand, and the Spelman College Glee Club will lead us in singing the Spelman hymn.
Dr. Joyce Johnson, come on now, yes. Friends, families, sisters, siblings, for all that we have witnessed here today, we give thanks. It is now time for the benediction, and we do ask that everybody please remain seated until the entire recessional has left Sisters Chapel. Our family in Ghana, West Africa, have given us a concept called Sankofa, which means it is not taboo to go back and to go get that which is at risk of being forgotten. In other words, it means go back and get it. In the Adinkra symbol of systems, it is represented by a bird whose face is looking back to the past, but whose feet are facing forward to the future. Today, we have looked back. We have gone back and we have remembered. And now, where will your forward-facing feet take you as a result of what we've remembered today? As a blessing and a parting word, I want to suggest a few possibilities. Go back and remember that Spelman women are here because two women had the foresight and the vision. Where others saw Southern destitution, they saw Southern possibility. And when you remember this, take note of the voids and the lack in our communities and dream up a new vision of what they can become. Go back and remember that Spelman women are here because of generosity, the giving of resources to unprecedented plans and dehumanized populations. And when you remember this, know that every resource you will ever acquire is because of grace. And may you dream up a vision of what can happen when you give it away. Go back and remember that Spelman women are here because our ancestors could not be here. Some because they didn't make it across the Atlantic, some because they would have died if they even dreamed of picking up a book to read, some because Spelman simply was not attainable. And when you remember this, know that you are indeed your ancestors' wildest dreams. And may you dream a vision of yourself, for you are somebody's wildest dream and most beautiful prayer come true. Yes, my sisters, go back. For it is in our remembering that we dream, lest we forget where we have come from. Yes, my sisters and my siblings dream, for it is in our dreams that we have hope. But then, do not forget to go get it. Sankofa means to go back and to go get it. So go on and get your goal. Go on and get your dream and your destiny. Go on and get your prize and go get your promise. Go get your victory and go get your vision. Go get the magic, the black girl magic. Go get the flourishing and the joy. Walk forward from this place and go get it. March on and go get it. Push through and pray through to the end of this semester and go get it. For our founders and our ancestors, our entire village has laid them out for us. And with God's help and strength, you shall obtain the prize. Now that we have looked back, it is time to go get it. So let's go get it. Peace.